remember when I was in spiritualist circles, and someone who's being communicated with could identify a smell from the spiritual world, so the person communicated a smell and said, "I'm picking up this smell," and the person would say, "That was my grandmother's favorite perfume. That was what she loved," uh, and it's a thought stimulant. A thought can stimulate something. So it's possible that roses, when we see roses, are stimulating a memory of the original rose that was in the Garden of Eden, say, that did have this beautiful perfume. But now, the counterfeits, it's so tricked us into thinking that it's a real rose. It's tricked us into that. We're dreaming of a rose rather than experiencing a rose. In A Course in Miracles, where it talks about this memory thing, it says when you do have an experience of something, say a perfume like that, it says, imagine the smell of this rose, and it's 100 times more beautiful than you smell it now, and then another 100 times more, and then another 100 times more on top of that, and you have just an inkling of the idea of what a rose smells like in reality. And so we've traded the most magnificent creation for this counterfeit, and live in this counterfeit, permanently dissatisfied, in this state of dissatisfaction, always looking for something else, looking for more, because none of it ever satisfies us.